Hello everyone, and today I'm so excited to be doing this video because it's been on my film list for like 2 weeks, but I'm going to be filming all about my top 3 products in every category. This is 1000% inspired by Julia Adams, and I loved her video so much that I wanted to do my own. So I already know this is going to be so incredibly long, so let's just get on into it. For primer, there's only one I'm going to talk about because it's the only full-size one left in my collection, besides like a sunscreen that I use as a primer. So my number one and my only favorite primer is the Auric Glow Lust. I have really loved this product, and for a while I wasn't really using it because it is a little bit dark and peachy for my skin tone if I wear foundation on top, because it just kind of darkens the foundation. I would probably not buy a lighter shade just because it is so expensive and this bottle is massive, but I've actually been loving it a lot more in the other ways that you can use it. So today I mixed it in with my Fenty Beauty foundation and my skin looks amazing. It didn't change the finish of the foundation too much. It just made it a little bit more hydrating. I have been loving this as like a highlighter. I'm not wearing it that way today, but I just dotted this on the high points of my face and it looks so good. It's not a super metallic primer, it's more of a hydrating primer, and it's pretty thick. So I haven't tried the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter, but I think that one's more on like a metallic side, still pretty natural, but this one is more of a hydrated glow, and I really love this. I've also been using it on my under eyes, which is what Tara Brooke has been talking about, and I tried it and I loved it. I just take a tiny bit and I dot it on my under eyes just to brighten them, and I love it. I can apply some concealer on top to add a little bit more coverage, or even just adding this on its own reflects the light away so nicely that I just love this product. It is such a luxurious formula, and it's really good. I hope she does a restock soon. Not that I'm going to be buying any more shades, but this product is fantastic and I don't see it ever being not in my collection. For foundation, you already knew this. The Fenty Beauty Eavesdrops are my number one foundation that has ever graced my face. These are so good. I think I'm probably already halfway done with this bottle, and I will repurchase it the moment that it runs out because it's just so good. I have been applying it with my fingers lately, and it made it like 1,000 times better. I loved it with a brush too, and I felt even more in love with it as soon as I started using my fingers because it just blends into the skin so nicely and has a really nice like velvety finish, and it doesn't dry my skin out. It's not super finicky, so that it just glides on the skin beautifully. This foundation is so good. I know not everyone loves it, but this foundation, oh, I just love it so much. It's not too glowy, which I love because I'm in Florida and it's really hot and humid and I don't want to look super glowy, but it's still hydrating and it still can be manipulated to be more glowy if I mix it with a Glow Lust or if I use a really hydrating primer underneath. It's just so good. I use the shade 2. I'm so glad I tried this. I wasn't going to buy this, and then I had a bunch of you ask me to do a review on it and I was like, fine, I'll do a review, and wow. So glad I did. And then the other foundation is the Cosmetics Daydream Cushion Foundation. This one has a similar effect to the Fenty one, I think just a little bit more hydrating, but they have around the same amount of coverage. They're like a sheer to light coverage. I still think it's fine. I add concealer on top of my cheeks anyways because I have really red cheeks, but for people that like really sheer coverage, apparently these ones have a little bit more, and they do cancel out redness and like even out your skin tone really nicely, but this one's almost like a more hydrating version. It's not finicky at all, the same as the Fenty. It won't look dry at all, and I think if you have drier skin, I would probably say go with the Cosmetics one just to be safe. But this one is a little bit more expensive because you get less product and the sponge will soak up some of the product. You do get a refill, but it is just a little bit more expensive. I still adore this product and it just looks gorgeous on the skin. It's just I've been loving the Fenty one so much lately. I think the Cosmetics one is a little bit more universal because it's less drying, so it won't dry out people with dry skin, and the Fenty one could look a little bit more dry. So these are my 2 favorite foundations. Now for my third favorite, I have like 2 other foundations in my collection and I love them both, so it was really hard to choose between these 2. I decided to go with the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation because I haven't talked about this one a whole lot on my channel, but This one is such a good foundation at a drugstore price. It is very hydrating and very glowy, so be warned of that. It is extremely glowy. I set it with powder and it's fine, but this one is definitely a light to medium coverage, and I really like the coverage actually because it covers up my redness, but it still looks like skin and it never looks heavy or cakey. It just looks really good on the skin. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a beautiful formulation. It just is very glowy. I use the shade Ivory 10 in this one, by the way, and in M Cosmetics I use whatever the lightest one is. For under eye corrector slash concealer, I love the Charlotte Tilbury one. This one doesn't alter the state of my concealer that I put on top, so it doesn't make it super dewy or super matte. It just kind of blends into the skin, and it's not so peachy that it'll make my color look super off. It'll just brighten, and I love this even on no makeup days, or like even just as a concealer on its own. It just brings out the blue and covers up the blue a little bit, and it looks very pretty on the under eye. So I've been loving this even just as an under eye concealer on its own, but it is a little bit more pink, so I haven't been using it alone as much recently. But as my under eye concealer lately, I've been loving the Glossier concealer. Now, I haven't been using this one a ton lately, but I did use up a whole jar of this. I think I used it up like a little over a year ago, but that one was really old. That one was from like, I bought it when the Glossier Cloud Paints came out, and it was still like the light, medium, deep, whatever shade range. Now it's in numbers, so this one is the shade G11. You can tell I haven't used it much, but I forgot how good this concealer was. It's so hydrating on the skin, and it just looks good. Like, it's not going to emphasize anything. It's not going to, like when on my nose, I can never put concealer on my nose because it always looks like makeup-y, but on my nose, this concealer just covers it up, and it is really glowy. I do set it with a powder, but wow, it just looks so good. I used it on my under eyes today. It's also really good just to blend on my cheeks as like a foundation, but I haven't done that a ton lately. But I did do that one a lot when I had my old concealer. For my face, I've been really enjoying the Oma Beauty Stay Woke concealer. This one is really great on the under eyes too. I just am not super into under eye concealer right now. This one is more of a soft matte finish while not being drying at all. The finish is gorgeous on the skin. It looks like skin. It's not glowy, but it never dries me out. I feel like I say the same thing about all the concealers, but this one is definitely more of a soft matte finish. It just has really great coverage if you're looking for a more high coverage concealer. I really like it. And then of course the Rare Beauty concealer is another one of my favorites for brightening up the under eye. It just makes you look so awake. It doesn't have a ton of coverage, but just applying this on the under eye will, I feel like, reflect back a lot of light and make you look really awake. So I haven't used this one as much lately, but I do love this concealer a lot. So these are my 3 favorite concealers with the Charlotte Tilbury as a corrector, so I just could sneak it in. For powder, I have 2. The first one is the Kosas Cloud Set Powder. I really enjoy this one to set around the face because it doesn't dry out my face or take away a lot of the glow. It'll just cut the shine and set everything nicely. It's not a super like, it's not extremely setting, it's not a loose powder or anything, but it's going to just lightly set everything. And if you have dry skin, I think you'd really enjoy this because it has a little bit of a glow in the formula. I don't think it like blows my mind the same way it does Jamie Page, but if you have dry skin, I would really recommend this powder. And then the #1 under eye powder to ever exist is the Nars Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder. This is so good. I don't know why more people haven't tried this. It literally feels like a crystal powder, and when you apply it on the under eyes, you don't see that shimmer. It just like, it makes your skin feel baby soft, and it sets it so beautifully. It never dries out my under eyes. It doesn't make them look too glowy. It doesn't make them too matte. It's magic. And if you have dry under eyes, you need to try this powder because even on the face too, it's just beautiful. It still sets it down where it doesn't feel sticky, but it looks like you have model skin. I don't know any other way to describe it besides the fact that you should try it out because it's literally magic and it's so good, and I don't know why more people haven't tried it. For bronzer, this one is so hard because I kind of really enjoy a lot of my bronzers, and especially the powders. I kind of like them all, so this was pretty hard. The first one I'm choosing is the Fenty Beauty Cream Bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit. I have pan on this, so obviously I really enjoy it. This one is more of a sheer formulation, but I find that on the cheeks it makes it so you don't look super makeup-y. I will say when I use this one up, I might get a deeper shade of it. It just looks like you're naturally bronzed, which I think looks really flattering on the skin, so I really enjoyed this one. A recent favorite is the Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. I have the shade She's Statuesque. I really enjoy this one. I think it's not the best bronzer shade on me of all time, but first of all, I love the duo because it's just so convenient, and also just this cream is such a beautiful formulation. It is very sheer, and I might go with a darker shade if I ever repurchase this, but I'm wearing it today and I just find it doesn't overly bronze me, but it still makes my face look really put together. It still adds the shadows where it needs to without making me look like I'm wearing a ton of bronzer, which I really enjoy. The cream isn't too cool toned, so I can kind of just wear it as a bronzer. And the powder is a little bit more warm toned. It's super sheer, which I find perfect for layering on top of the cream, because it's not going to make it too much, and I really love this powder bronzer duo. Okay, and then the third spot was so hard to choose because I wanted to put a powder here, but ultimately what I've been actually... no. Okay, I was going to talk about something else, but I completely forgot about the one that obviously is my number 3. So, I do have another powder and another cream that I do really enjoy, but ultimately the Kosas... I don't know what this is called. I think it's the Sun Show Bronzer. I love this thing so much. I raved about it a lot last year, and I've recently fallen back in love with it. This is, first of all, such a good shade on me. It's the shade Light, and it doesn't overly bronze me. It looks like I was in the sun. Like, it just looks really believable, and the glow in the pan doesn't show up shimmery on the face. It just looks healthy. It's the most natural powder bronzer that I've ever tried. It just doesn't look powdery on the skin. It looks like a cream, or it just looks like my skin is naturally bronzed. So I really love this bronzer. I hope they do a shade expansion for this one soon. Okay, blush I could not pick 3, so I picked 3 creams and 3 powders because and I also have a cheating one because I have a duo that's in my highlight section. But for creams, my number 1 favorite cream is obviously my Tower 28 ones. You guys know this. If it was pick one, like, blush formula, it would obviously be the Tower 28 ones. 3 of these were gifted to me, but I love them all so much. My favorite shade is the shade Magic Hour, which I bought myself, and I could see myself hitting pan on this one this year. I love these formulas so much. It's more of a thicker cream, so I like to apply it with a brush, but it lasts so long. It just looks so healthy on the cheeks, and the colors are beautiful. I have 4 shades, and I really love them all. I don't ever see myself getting rid of these. And also these 3 new formulations that came out, not new formulas, but the 3 new shades look stunning on the lips. So I love these. You guys know I love them, so I'm not going to go on about them, but these are my number 1 favorite blushes. Okay, and then I have 2 that are newer to me. The first one is the Milk Cosmetics Cream Blush Lights. In particular, the shade Polished. This shade is so pretty. It's like a grapefruit, which is what they describe it as. And on the cheeks, it looks amazing. It looks so summery, and it looks like a natural blush tone on me because it's kind of how my cheeks naturally turn. I will say these are fragranced, but I don't smell them on my cheeks. I really smell them in the pan. It's like a strong vanilla shade. I also have the shade Lynx, which I need to use more because it's a beautiful bronzy shade, but the formula on these is so good. It's more like a melted oil in the pan, and it feels very interesting when you swatch it, and I don't know how to describe it. Khaki has a great video reviewing these, but it's such a unique formulation, and it's so thin on the cheeks. When I apply these, I touch my face and I don't feel them. I feel like I'm not wearing any makeup at all, so they aren't sticky at all. They dry down, and these 2 are the ones with shimmer, and they look so glowy on the cheeks. I just love these, in particular the shade Polish, just because the tone is so good. And then the Say Beauty Dew Blush in the shade Rosy is a new favorite of mine, but wow, I love this one so much. I think partially because of the color. It's just a beautiful, like, everyday tone on me. I need to wear this in a video, but also because the formula is so easy to blend out. I will wipe off the doe foot, tap some on my cheeks, and then just tap it out with my fingers, and it looks gorgeous. I don't know how to describe it other than when I wear this, I just feel so cute. It lasts pretty well on me. and I love the shade. So I don't know. I'm not good at describing all of these things, and I feel like I don't want to talk your ear off, but I have been really enjoying this because I just love the way it looks on the cheeks. It makes my cheeks look nice and supple. It's not too dewy like the Cosmetics Serum blushes, but it does have a more like dew hydrated glow to it. So really like it. I wanted to pick up more shades, but I really don't think I need any of the colors, but this one in Rosy is a favorite. And if I was only picking 3 blushes, I think those would be the 3, because powders I can live without in my blushes, but the 3 that I wanted to mention, and I will go through them very fast. First is MAC Glow Play and So Natural. This one I can reach for with whatever look, and I know it'll match it. It also looks beautiful on the skin because it's a cream to powder formula. It's like a creamy powder. I don't know how to describe it, but it makes the cheeks look really smooth without being sticky or anything like that. It wears like a powder, but it looks like a cream on the skin. And I mainly just love the shade on this. The Cosmetics Faded Clementine blush, it's the Heaven's Glow formula. This one is really nice and radiant, but I mainly just love the shade on this. It's not super orange, it's more like a neutral bronze, and I really like it. I love the formula on these powder blushes, and I would definitely pick up more in the future, but I just love this one. It's so nice. And then a recent favorite is the Bare Minerals bronzer in the shade Kiss of Pink. I love this tone on me. It's a beautiful warm pink that I just love the tone. I think the formula is fine. Again, with powders, I think a powder is a powder. I like this one because it's not too pigmented, but it still shows up on the skin. It's long wearing. Okay, my phone is running out of storage, which is how you know that I really need to start editing my videos, but I just love the tone of this, and the formula is good. I don't think it blows my mind, but I don't have anything negative to say about it. Highlighter. I'm going to start with the one that I'm cheating with because it is a favorite blush of mine, and it's the Kosas Color and Light Cream. Now, this color I've only used once, but I did use up another color. I used up the shade 8th Muse, and the formula is the same. It's just a different tone. I find that I used to think that the cream was too emollient and too creamy, but when I apply this on top of other creams, I don't apply it on top of powder, and I set it a little bit to make it a little less emollient. It just looks beautiful on the skin. I'm wearing it today, and even under powder, it just looks really nice and glowy, and I love the blush in this one as well. This is Tropic Equinox, and I don't know what took me so long to try this one because I love the tone of this, and the formula is very emollient and glowy, but I find just setting it with a little bit of powder, it is just so pretty, and it's easy to blend out. I apply these with my fingers. That's my cheating one. And then my favorite highlighter is the Rare Beauty Liquid Luminizer in the shade Mesmerize. I love liquid highlighters because I find they blend into the skin so nicely versus sometimes a creamy one can sit on top of the skin. This one I just dot on and I blend it out with the blush brush, and my cheeks just look very natural and glowy. It doesn't look, I can't detect like where I put the highlighter, which sometimes with like a powder I can tell like, oh, that's where I applied my highlighter. This one just looks really glowy on the skin, and I love this one. I've raved about this so much. I think this is the most underrated product from the Rare Beauty launch. It just looks beautiful on the skin. I think if you're looking for a metallic highlighter, this one can be built up a little bit, but if you are into the natural glow, this one is very good. And then a more recent one to me is the Phytosurgence Spectral Shine Highlighter in the shade Mirrored Moonlight. This formula is a little bit tricky to figure out, but once you do, it looks gorgeous on the skin. I don't love the way it, like you have to apply it because I don't think I have the right brush, but once it's on the skin, oh, it looks so good. It looks like how a makeup artist would do your highlighter. It just looks like you're glowing from within. It looks so beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. The other two definitely are like makeup-y glows versus this one just looks like I've been drinking 20 glasses of water, which honestly I do anyways, and I'm mad that my skin doesn't look amazing, but it's just a really great formulation. Okay, now for my favorite part, the single eyeshadows. I love single eyeshadows so much, particularly creams. So the first one I'm going to talk about are my #1 favorite single eyeshadows. I'm sorry that they're expensive, but it's the Auric Duos. These are so good. They're the Smoke Reflex. I have all 3 shades, but this one is Temper, which is a rose gold, and it's a true like rose gold. It's not super pink or orangey, and it has a topper. The topper This one is a little bit more firm, but both of them are so gorgeous on the lid. Your eyelids just look wet, and it's so good. This is Defiance, which is the brown shade. I think it's definitely a learning curve using these because I didn't love the formulation of these at first because they are a little bit more finicky because they're like a gel cream. But with the Rare Beauty eyeshadow brush, just dip those in and swipe it on the lid. Wow, these are so good. You can also use like a fluffy eyeshadow brush and put them in the crease, but they're so good. I think they're a little bit less metallic than the other cream eyeshadow that I'm going to talk about. They're more just a satiny base, I guess you could call them, but it just looks gorgeous on the lid. And the topper in the sunlight, it looks so good. And these cream eyeshadows are, I don't know, I think both items from the Auric launch are incredibly good, but these ones I definitely use more and they bring me so much joy. My other favorite cream eyeshadow, which actually are my number 2 favorite because I've learned how to use the Auric ones and they're just my number 1, but the Charlotte Tilbury Ice to Mesmerize are a beautiful formulation. I just get so happy whenever I use these potted ones. This one is the shade Oyster Pearl, which is a gorgeous brown that's not too cool, not too warm. And then this one is Rose Gold. I apply these with my finger and you just need a small amount. They're more like a whipped mousse versus the Auric ones are still like a similar potted consistency, but more of a gel. You just use a little bit and swipe it on the lid and I blend it into the crease. And it has a little bit more of a metallic finish to it. Not super metallic-y, but a little bit more than the Auric ones. But they just look so good on the lid. I love how hydrated and creamy these look on the lids, but they both last pretty well on me with the eye primer, and I love my cream eyeshadows so incredibly much, and these 4 are my number 1 favorite eyeshadow shades in my entire collection. And then I thought I was actually going to talk about the Smashbox cream eyeshadows, but my 3rd favorite single eyeshadow is the Kosas 10-second eyeshadow in the shade Globe. I've been falling in love with a lot of Kosas products lately, especially ones that I've had in my collection and then just have suddenly rediscovered. But this one in Globe is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I will put a matte in the crease and then just swipe a little bit of this on my lid and blend it out with my finger, and it just looks really pretty. It's not too metallic-y, but it still adds a little bit of shimmer, and I really like the tone of it. Super easy to apply. Okay, I'm on my front camera in an attempt to hurry up and finish this video, but eyeshadow palettes. Haven't been using these a ton, but my 3 favorites. First, Natasha Denona Tropic. You guys aren't surprised. This one is such a good companion palette to my single eyeshadows, which is why it's in here. I still love it for looks on its own, but I haven't used it that way in quite a long time. But these matte shades are the best matte shades in my collection, especially this shade right here called Vintage Taupe. It's such a good crease shade, especially with my Auric temper. But I don't think this is the best, like, on its own palette. It's not like the most exciting color story, but it's an essential palette in my collection, and it's probably one that I would save first because I use this so often with my single eyeshadows, and I honestly could use my single eyeshadows and only this palette, and I would be completely happy. So this one is definitely one of my favorites. I don't think it's a surprise because I raved about this one a ton. I do love like this quad and then like these shimmers. I did that look a ton last summer, but I love this palette so much. It's on sale on Natasha Denona's website. It's back. It's still limited edition, so it's going away soon, but it's on sale for like $80. So if you're interested in it, I know I got a few comments saying that you really wanted it, but it wasn't on her site anymore. Another staple everyday palette is the M Cosmetics Divine Skies. You guys know how much I love this one because these matte shades are just perfect, and I love these shimmers just for all over the lid. Just for really simple everyday looks, I love it. It doesn't make me feel overwhelmed reaching for this palette because I know I can just do a simple look and it still looks beautiful. The mattes are pigmented but really blendable, and the shimmers aren't too metallic-y, but they still have a really nice glow. So I love this palette. And then a newer favorite. I've had both of these for like a year, by the way, so that shows how much I love them. But a newer one is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This palette is so good. I don't know why I didn't like it for so long, but the mattes are so top quality. And I like how they're not too deep because I don't feel overwhelmed looking at this palette, and I don't feel the need to go super deep. I can just pick a matte crease shade and then go in with the shimmers. And the shimmers feel almost like a Super Shock shadow. They're so creamy and they're not metallic on the lid. They're just nice and glowy. They almost look like a cream, and I love the color story so much. It's perfect for me for every day because it's not just browns, but it's not too colorful. Like, to me, a pink is a neutral, and this is a really great palette. And I'm so glad I picked this up during this Sephora sale. I don't know why I didn't find interest in it for so long, but it is so good. For my brows, the only product I'm gonna mention is the Kosas Air Brow. I use all three of the Kosas brow products and I love them, but this one is a standout to me. It's all I'm wearing on my brows today. It's so good. It has like a shimmer to it. Not like a shimmer, but like a pearl in the bottle that you can see that makes it look like brow hairs when you apply it because it's like a fiber brow gel. It adds the perfect amount of tint and it's not too wet, so when you apply it onto the brows, it's not going to get everywhere. It's not going to get all above. It's going to add the perfect amount of color without looking like you just made a mess with your brow gel. It doesn't have the strongest hold, but to me it's fine because I don't do feathery brows, and this product is so good. I will repurchase it. And then for mascara, my favorite is the Marc Jacobs At Lashed, but that one is getting discontinued, so my current favorite is the Lancome Monsieur Big. I don't really know how to say that, but that one has been my go-to for like 5 years, so I really like that one. Okay, for lip products, these three are my #1 lip products of all time and the only ones that I really need. First one is my Tower 28 gloss. This one in Fearless is my favorite color, but I love all the colors I have. It looks purple, but on the lips it's more just like a pink shade. I mean, it has a little purple, but I love the shade of this. I love the formula. This one is pretty sheer, and it's my #1 favorite lip gloss. Even though it's like a weird purple color, I love it so much. The M Cosmetics lip cushions are so good. These are more pigmented. They definitely got a lot of pigment behind them, but the shades of these are wonderful. It's such a nourishing formula. It's like the Laneige lip sleeping mask, but in a tube. It is pretty emollient, so like when you put it on the lips, the tube will move around quite a bit, which is why you can't screw these down. But I have the shades of Venetian Rose and Magic Hour, and I love both of these shades. And the formula is actually very hydrating, and a similar formula, but a little bit stiffer in the tubes. That way it's easier to apply. And a little bit more sheer is the Glossier Ultra Lip. This is the shade Villa, and I've been wearing this one so often. I think I've worn this every day I do my makeup. You can see I kind of wore down the tube, but I'm wearing the shade Trench right now. It's a little bit worn off, but the formula on these is so good. It's similar to the M Cosmetics, but it's a little less like I don't know, it just doesn't move around when you apply it, versus these are kind of melted in the tube. So I really love this one. I feel like I have been talking for a really long time, and I've been really repetitive because I talk about a lot of these products on my channel, but I thought this video was fun just to have it all in one place of everything that I love, and I would love to redo this video like at the end of the year, in a couple months, seasonally. I don't know, just redo it as soon as my favorites change up a much. I really love this video idea, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it too. I will link Julia's video down below, which I highly recommend watching because I love Julia's channel, and especially lately I've just been watching all of her videos. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will see you in my next one. Bye!